Hello, gracefully chosen community, and welcome to Foster My Stories, the achievement focused podcast for foster care, adoption, orphan, inclusive of underserved communities. I'm your host, Shalina Michelle Tate. On today's cast episode, I would like to recap some highlights and events from November 2020 to January 2022. So, November 2021, as everyone knows, was November, which marked Thanksgiving and a time of sharing memories and great food with family. Foster My Stories took a break during this month to allow listeners and myself to focus on appreciation for family, friends, and being a positive asset to my surroundings. November also marked National Adoption Month. Nadine Johnson continued celebrating the launch for her book I Write Rhymes, and Dr. John DeGarmo got to speak at an event for a film inspired by foster care that he is a part of. I also began a number of casting calls for my short film called Flowers for Mama, which is in development. I will be able to share more with you, the listeners, as time permits. I'm super excited about this project and the message that it brings, and this is the first of many. All right, and so moving on to December of 2021, Foster My Stories was also on break for similar reasons of November. However, I am so thankful to announce that I have celebrated my 1 year milestone, and I threw a Foster My Stories virtual networking 1 year celebration where podcast guests got to highlight projects and events they are doing since they were on the podcast. I will be able to share that revised content soon via the Foster My Stories 1 year celebration page. It was phenomenal just seeing my guests face to face via Zoom, and for them to be able to impart words of wisdom and share and network with each other, which was the main point. And hopefully for you, the listeners, once you see it and hear it, be able to be impacted by what they do on a regular basis, and appreciation for them being my guest from 2020 to 2021. Super excited for the progression of the podcast. Also in December, FMS alum Jessica Burton held her Bow Ties and Bling Transportation fundraiser, which was on the 6th of December in support of needed transportation as her service Friendly Atmos Mentoring continues growing. If you want to be a part of any contributions towards her efforts, feel free to reach out to me so I could get you connected to her. A lot of times for underserved communities, just being able to get to anything positive can be a struggle. Dynamic mentorship service, counseling, and her service is growing, but they need your help. So if you want to be a part of that, feel free to reach out to me via the Foster My Stories Facebook page. Send me a message. And of course, for any of these other mentions as well, will be very appreciated. Next up, Mr. Jamal Stroud, FMS alum, also a foster child alum like myself, had his toy drive event back on December 17th, which was, to no surprise, was a dynamic success. He was able to provide for a number of youth and families during the holiday seasons, clothes, shoes, backpacks for a lot of these families that needed supplies and even toys, to help a youth have a phenomenal holiday season. Hats off to Mr. Jamal Stroud, who's continuously making dynamic strides as a powerhouse of a game changer. Next up, Becky DeWitt, also an FMS alum, announced her Destiny's Closet Adventure series. She has had a phenomenal year pouring out in the community's children's inspired books. You may have a little Destiny that needs some encouragement, right? And these books that Miss DeWitt does helps do just that. Next up, we have Miss Shayna Aspie, who published her new book, Your Roots Become Your Fruits, in December. Congratulations to her launch for her new book. If you would like to support her efforts, I can connect you to Miss Aspie, who can get you a copy of her new book. Now we're here in January of 2022. It's surreal, right? We're here in a new year. So pretty seeing the different fireworks everywhere I went. For people like myself who like to watch movies, admittedly, Spider-Man No Way Home passed the $1 billion mark, but you know this by now. Phenomenal movie. I was also, as far as January, humbly able to celebrate my 38th on January 12th. And no, I'm not ashamed to tell my age. I feel it makes you freer, to don't hide it. So I'm thankful to see another year. And I prepared for the new year launch of Foster My Stories with updates, upgrades, and exciting announcements to come. So just to recap, a lot of the Foster My Story alum, they're doing phenomenal things. Many have continued to write books, and some have done so before October, which is when the last set of episodes aired for Foster My Stories for the year. I'm so excited for the new progression, the new things that's going to be happening with Foster My Stories, with the Foster My Stories alum and what they're doing. And I'm super excited for you to meet a new round of guests that will be coming that you've heard so far. The first of the year, Dave Armstrong, phenomenal testimony about who he is and what he does. And I'm super excited for you to get to know more guests as they come on the series. So if your upbringing, community service, or job connects you to the foster, adoption, orphan, or underserved communities, I would love to have you on the podcast. You can send a guest request over to info@fostermystory.com. Frank Mary Story with an I, not a Y.com. Wednesdays at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time via any of the platforms that's convenient for you. I started on Red Circle Podcast, but thankfully I have been able to expand Spotify, Amazon Audible, Amazon Music, Radio Public, or you can check out Google Podcasts, which is right there at your fingertips. There you can catch missed episodes or stay connected for upcoming guests and content. And please remember to tell someone. Being fostered, adopted, orphaned, or underserved simply means they're gracefully chosen, right? And I want to take the time to thank you so much as the listeners. Feel free to share this content, reach out, and foster this story. Take care.